Hey y'all, it's Rick here with Uncommon Communion. And yes, I am again recording a video instead of a written post. Now, at this point, you may be wondering, I'm not wondering, but you may be wondering, is Rick still going to keep writing? Or is he just going to keep doing videos instead of writing? And the answer is that is not my plan. That is not my plan. That said, the last few days, and actually quite a few last few days, have had things in the evening that have taken my time such that I get to the place in the evening where this is my best option. The very relatively short amount of time to deliver a message, albeit in a video rather than a writing. So I appreciate your understanding. Tonight's reason is a little bit different than what the last few nights have been. And I'll share that with you in just a moment after we begin, as we always begin, by recognizing, realizing, celebrating, and affirming that we are always and everywhere in the holy presence of the more and each other. So you may see by the title of this post that it's all about listening. And that's what took me away this evening from getting to this earlier. And no Andor tonight. I was very tempted to watch the last two episodes of the show, the season and the show, because we know it ends after these last two episodes. But I didn't do that. Rather, instead, I took a phone call. And I'll share that with you in a little bit. But I want to kind of walk through the title of this video because the theme that developed as I was recognizing I was going to need to do a video as opposed to a writing with music, this would typically be my music post. As I was recognizing that and realizing that, something began to emerge as a theme, right? And that's really how I go about these videos, by the way, y'all. I something during the day will strike me and things will sort of maybe coalesce and I'll begin to see a theme about how I am experiencing the more and what I believe is beneficial for all of us to have me share with you, right? So today it was about listening. And the most recent listening that I did just a little while ago, I'm going to let it speak for itself for the most part. It is Glenn Kirshner. And I've talked about Glenn Kirshner here before, y'all. And really have enjoyed listening and watching. He records a video pretty much every evening. And I'm posting a link to today's Wednesday's video. And it's powerful. It is powerful. It is hopeful, yes, because he's talking about two legal situations on Wednesday, developments that were showing that the rule of law is holding, right? So it's very hopeful. At the same time, in the second story, and in the first story too, which is about the Epstein files, the second story that he talks about, the second court case is about Abrego Garcia. It is very hard to listen to, y'all, because especially in the case of Mr. Abrego Garcia, what the American government did, and yes, it is the T-Rump regime, and as Glenn calls it, the dirty DOJ, what they did to this man and did to others who have been unnamed, right? It is absolutely shameful, vile, despicable, evil, and it is done in the name of the United States, in all of our names. And it really, I believe, should give us pause. And I think it also should give us something that we can talk with others about. Because, what we are seeing here, I was just talking about this with someone today, the whole whataboutism that for so long was prevalent. I kind of joked with someone like, especially in the first Trump regime, I would say to someone, like, hey, Donald Trump is a problem. Donald Trump did all this, blah, 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 blah. And and inevitably, if they were going to defend T-Rump, they would say, oh, no, what about it, Hillary? What about Biden? What about Hunter? All this bullshit, right? It is bullshit. Sorry about my French. we're well beyond that now, y'all. We are seeing the government and the regime do things we have never seen before. And quite honestly, I don't know that anybody else would even have ever attempted some of these things, because the right or the wrong or the vile pieces just weren't in place. And they are now. A Congress that is absolutely given this sick man. And make no mistake about it, y'all, this is coming out more and more. Trump is physically and mentally unwell. He is unfit and he is unwell, and he is getting worse. And the fact that we have let this happen, we, the American people, and it is staggering. And what Glenn says about what was done to Abrego Garcia, the torture that was done in the prison that America sent him to, is absolutely shameful. So I'm going to encourage that you listen to it. It's about 30 minutes long. I encourage that you share it. It's hard to listen to. There is hope. And yet it also exposes how much work we have to do, because we are broken, and we all have a responsibility to begin to see what healing we can bring and what we can do after this ends. All right, y'all. So the other two pieces of listening and why I'm recording as opposed to writing. And it started today early on with my sponsor. I call him every Wednesday morning, and he listens. He listens. And it just so happens, it seems Wednesdays are vital, because it seems like often Tuesdays something happens to me and significant. And, Wednesday morning I'm ready to, and I need to talk about it. And I shared with him before I went to work today about some concerns that I had with a training on Tuesday, and a trainee that I was concerned about, who might show up to the training that I led on Wednesday morning. And he listened, and he really helped. He helped in the affirmation that he shared. He helped in the way he shared about his own experience. And he helped because I just had someone that I could talk to, that the feelings that I was having, I could put them out, have someone say, yeah, I get that, and just doing that helped put me in a different mindset. And I went to the training, and lo and behold, the individual that I was concerned about did not show up. And that was a good thing. That was a very good thing. So that was a reminder of being listened to. And this evening with my dad, that was the call that I took this evening, I was able to be on the other side of that. I was able to be the listener. And a little bit of background, I haven't talked about it here too much, but my parents are in their mid-80s, and my mom is ailing. And she is physically and mentally diminishing. And my dad is there 12 hours a day by her bedside in a rehabilitation center. And it is really hard. And he needs someone to vent to. He has some friends, but I think with his friends, there's sometimes that fear of being judged, or that fear of just people not understanding or not getting it, or people trying to solve our problems, fix it. And I don't think I do those things for him. And for me, it is really an honor and a privilege and a challenge to be receiving this from my dad, because he's struggling, and my mom is very much struggling. And it's always hard to hear your parents or any loved ones struggle. I do know that by just listening tonight, and he thanked me numerous times, and I'm grateful that I can do that, because, parents do so much for their children. And, my dad has been very generous to my family and been very helpful to us, to me, over the years. And if I can do this bit of helping, supporting, caring, loving, to give back just a little bit, then it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. And I'll end with this thought, and just to kind of how everything kind of loops together. I told my dad this because I told it to the trainees that I was working with today, minus the one who would have been a difficult trainee who didn't show up, right? But these are caregivers who support the individuals that the agency I work for cares for, which are intellectually and developmentally disabled folks, many of whom have very high aggressive facing behaviors. And I told these new hires, these caregivers, as I trained them in de-escalation and calming strategies, that they're going to need someone outside of the agency that they can appropriately vent to about the challenging individuals that they are supporting. And lo and behold, I was able to do something similar to my dad, who is now caregiver to my mom, when he needed to vent, when he needed to blow off steam, when he just needed someone to listen. And I was very, very grateful for that. So I wrap y'all with the gratitude that you are listening to what I have to share, not reading it tonight, but listening. And again, I really hope that what I am experiencing and what I am sharing is giving you something, and something that you can give to others. Remember, y'all, the most important thing that each and every one of us has, because it's finite and we never know how much it is our time. And related directly to our time is our attention. What do we give our attention to? And when we give our attention to another human being, to just listen, to support, to maybe give some feedback, to maybe share our own experience, strength, and hope, as we say in the recovery rooms, that is one of the greatest gifts that we can ever give to someone. So let's end as I end each of my calls with my sponsor. It's with the Serenity Prayer. Whenever we talk, he and I, we begin with the singular version, the I version, and the me version, right? And we close with the we version, the plural. Because the idea is that, we come to my weekly sponsor call with, our own lives, and we come to join as individuals. But through that conversation, and remember, conversation and conversion have a similar etymology, a similar root, right? About change, conversion. And through that conversation that we have, we are changed and move from being individual I's to a we. So that's why he and I, pray the we version of the Serenity Prayer, which is what I hope through these conversations. And it doesn't have to be one way, y'all. Y'all can give feedback. You can put it in the chat. You can send me messages. We can make this a conversation. But because of this conversation, you and I, all of us, become a we. So let's close with the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Say it with me if you will. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thy will, not ours, be done. All right, y'all, I got to get to bed. It was a busy day. Got another busy one tomorrow. Blessing and good. Be gentle. Be well.